Virginity is sexist and unfair. It is a term that applies to women and makes their sexuality an object to be bartered for, while men are mostly left off the hook. Virginity applies to women only. So if a man says he's a virgin, technically that's not true, because it just by definition is a female trait. So that means women are judged on whether or not they have had sexual relations, how they interact and carry themselves sexually, and men are not judged in the same way. If anything, men are made fun of if they have not had sex by a certain age, and they're looked at as weird, or there might be some respect for them there for the fact that they've abstained, but it's not the same way that it is for women, where it's almost an expectation or something that people value more when a woman has been able to abstain from having sex. Welcome to my channel. I'm Latia, and I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever floats your boat, or none of the above. But I've been thinking about virginity and the virgin whore dichotomy and all the different things that have to do with sexuality, and women's sexuality in particular, because as a woman, people will see me and they'll see my sexual status before they'll see who I am as a human being. And it's not something that we do on purpose. It's just something that's been traditional towards in patriarchal Elizabethan society. In those days, the Elizabethan age, women were judged based on their sexual reputation. So if you were a pure woman, you were eligible for marriage, a man could take care of you, your dowry would be likely to be worth something. People would want you. You were a hot commodity. It was like, oh, she's a virgin, like everybody wants that. And if you weren't a virgin, you were seen as a whore and fallen woman, and it would be harder for you to be married off and to find peace and stability in your future. So your only options were you didn't really have good options in those days to take care of yourself, because like women didn't have many jobs. The jobs available were likely to be a whore or to be a nun. And if you wanted to take care of yourself, you had to work with what your options were. So I've done a program and it talks about the courtesan and how amazing she was and how crafty and creative and wonderful she was. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, and she was also a whore who had no other option. When you have no other option, you're going to do the best that you can to take care of yourself. Not every prostitute was a whore, but not every prostitute was a courtesan, but courtesans were at their core prostitutes, I guess is the logic that I would look at it. So it's all looking at sex work and women who are working, using their bodies to take care of themselves. And I have no problem with that. I feel like sex work is an option that most people use as a last resort, but it's something that should not be shamed. You're using your body and what you have available to you to make yourself money instead of making someone else money. And that should be a legal option, but that's another conversation. What I was really thinking about is how when we look at the virgin whore dichotomy, it's almost a triad that we ignore the fact that you're either a virgin, you're a whore, or you're a mom. And people don't look at moms as whores. It's like once you become a mom, your sexual reputation is almost not compromised or wiped away, but it's like, oh, once you have a kid, it's like, oh, you're just a mom. We don't look at you as a sexual object anymore. It's like when women become certain phases of life, it's like, oh, we just don't care about your sexuality anymore. So once you're out of your youthful years, you're no longer sexual. Once you're a mom, you're no longer seen as sexual. Once you're an older woman in your later years, you're no longer sexual. And when you're no longer seen as sexual, now you're able to be taken seriously and have respect and just be seen as your word. Or you're not seen as at all, which is the real challenge that we deal with in America. We either see people as these youthful, innocent, radiant, pure sadly hot to trot. Like, that's what's coming to my mind. It's like we sexualize childhood and youthfulness and innocence to the point of being a child is almost a crime. It's like people take it for granted and just don't realize how messed up some of our values are. But it's like, if you're looking at virgins to be pure and innocent, that's also highly related to something that gets really messy really quickly. And it's not fair to women who choose to have sex to make them out to be sluts and whores, because not all of them are. Just because someone has sex out of marriage doesn't make them a bad person. Just because they have a lot of sex with a lot of people doesn't make them a bad person. And the fact that we judge women based on how many people they sleep with, that's really an unfair standard. Like, my sexuality shouldn't have an impact on anything else in my life. But I know that in college, people would talk smack about me for having sex or doing sexual things with people. And it's really like, what I do in a bedroom is none of anybody's business besides mine and the person I do it with. And if that person chooses to share, I don't understand what benefit it gives them to be like, oh, this is what I did with her, and like, this is what we did. That's just weird. I never understood it. I mean, I guess I'll talk to my friends about what I do, but I don't talk about it to be like, oh, another notch on the belt. It's either something interesting happened or I'm just sharing my story. But maybe they were sharing their story and they just happened to share with girls that they thought they could trust or something, or they just wanted to make a mess of my reputation. And that stuff, it's uncomfortable, because it's like, now you know things about me that you don't need to know. You never had a business of knowing, and now you're making fun of me because you're like, oh, she's a hoe, like, she's easy, she'll do anything. Like, it's not true. I don't do anything. But it's like, now there's a narrative about me, about something that people didn't need to know in the first place. And if people would just mind their own business, it would be easier to go around. Because one's sexuality is already something that's private, and it's a matter of like their personal business and their personal preference. So if someone's sleeping with you, that's already a personal matter, and it doesn't need to be taken to the streets and like letting everybody know what's going on. But if you are going to let everyone know what's going on, then like, let that person speak for themselves, like, especially the woman, because now, like, you become objectified, you become treated differently, and people think of you in a certain way. Where I met a roommate and she was like, you're nothing like I thought you would be. And it's just like, what did you think I would be? Some like kind of walking slutty person? Like, I'd just be walking around showing off my body, like, come sleep with me, like, come hither. Like, I would just be an animal or something. Just because people are sexual doesn't make them animals. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them like raunchy all the time. Like, my sexuality doesn't define me. Or it does, and it makes me really uncomfortable, because I know I'm a very sexual person and I'm always trying to hide it, because I'm like, I don't want my sexuality to be the reason why something goes bad or something wrong happens. It's not something that we're taught to be truly deeply comfortable with. Like, I'm comfortable with it in the sense of I will talk to like strangers over the internet about it, and I will talk to people that I meet about it, but I'm not comfortable to the point of knowing that when I go to work and I have things to do, that if that energy is present, I feel uncomfortable, because what to me feels like sexual energy could feel like invasive or over the top energy for other people. But it's also like doing Kasia's classes, like, that sexual energy is life force energy. It's the energy of being alive, the energy of being human and having the ability to create life. It's just being a woman comes with that sexual nature, and we've done so much to bastardize it that now it's hard to just be a woman and be okay with it. It's like, my feminine body is a crime, and no matter what I do, I can't escape the fact that people are going to treat me differently because I'm a sexual woman. It's like, what? Sexual woman? Who does that? Like, who is proud to go around and have sex with people or be of a sexual nature, especially as a woman? Because usually men are the ones who get prizes for doing that. Like, they're the ones who get to be proud of having slept with someone, whereas a woman is supposed to be ashamed. Granted, as a woman, it is a lot easier to go out and get sex if I want it. I don't have to try as hard as a man does, because usually women are seen as the gatekeepers to the sexual gateway, and we are the ones who give permission. Whether that's true or not is a matter of practice. But I feel like it's unfair to leave it so, to make it 2 or 3 choices, to have so few options to just being human and just having fun with sex. It's more than virgin or whore. It's more than virgin or mom. It's more than just, you know, a whore or a good girl or a bad girl. There's so many nuances to what our sexual stories and journeys are, and the impact that they have on how we relate to people. So that's my rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you feel it. I don't mind. I can handle it. But I hope you have a wonderful day, and to see you next time.